Hello, welcome back. My name is Stephanie, and on this channel, I love talking about my houseplants. In today's video, I am specifically talking about my Philodendron Xanadu. I've had this plant for a few years. I've featured it a few times here on this channel, and it's sort of gotten out of hand. I used to have it in a south-facing window, and even then, it grew these very long petioles, and it divided itself and created a third plant. I have it currently growing in water and I have an entire care video for this plant. I will make sure that I link it down below so that you can find out how I got this plant to look this way. But I've been avoiding the inevitable, and that is I need to divide this plant because the roots are out of control. A few months ago, I thinned it out. So I chopped off a lot of the leaves. I also chopped off a lot of the roots. It didn't like that initially, and it showed a lot of signs of stress in the leaves, like things like this, like sometimes spotting in the leaves, sometimes just a lot of drama. But then it started flourishing and started pushing out these really huge leaves that you can see in front of you right now. But what has happened is, because this is so full of roots right now, it is drying out very quickly. This, in addition to the fact that it lives currently in a south-facing window. Well, it lived, I should say. Yesterday, I have moved it to a new space that I have not shared with you on my channel as yet. I created a new plant space. So I recently put it into that space yesterday, and that's where it's going to live. But even with less light, even with no longer living in a south window, this plant still needs to be divided, be thinned out. So because there are 3 plants in here, I'm actually going to, like I mentioned, take one out, and then hopefully I will put the other one in another jar. We'll see how I feel after we divide it. Let me try to get you in nice and close to see what it looks like inside here. So in here, you will be able to see 3 plants. So there's 1, this one right here, 2, this one where my fingers are latched around, and 3, another one in the back here, where you can see like these 2 fingers are around here. So there are these 3 plants. I hope you can see it. I hope the camera is focusing so that you can see it. Here's a closer look at the roots. It's full in here, and I have my tools. I have a knife. I have another jar, another vase, but I'm not going to bring it here yet because that's risky. And I also have endless amounts of paper towels. I also have another pair of hands that you would see in here. That's my mom. She has been in my videos in the background for a few of them, and you've also seen a tour of her houseplants. I'll be sure to link her houseplant collection tour down below. And so she will be helping me to tame this beast. Without further ado, let's get into it. And here are the plants that I was talking about. So this is plant number 1, or one of them. Number 2 is right here, and number 3 is right here in the middle. So we need to divide them. And I think what I will do is I will actually keep 2 together and 1 apart. Ideally, I would like to keep a big one and a small one together and put a big one, separate the big one. But I think I'm just going to go with how it's naturally growing and what's closest to each other. Okay, so do you want to hold the bowl or hold the plant? Okay, hold it tight. Let's see. You should have more paper towel on the table. Oh, more paper towel? I have that. I have lots and lots of paper towel. Okay, it's not going to be too bad. I know it'll be easy to get out. Here we go. I'm just letting a little bit of the excess water drain out. And there we go. Our perfectly formed roots. Just be careful. Thank you. So here we go. These are the beautiful water roots growing happily in here. And yeah, so let's take a look here. So this plant throws out a lot of aerial roots, and these aerial roots I find cause this to get it to grow a lot faster. It's great, but it tends to it will fill up the pot with roots so much faster, and that's a little bit of an inconvenience. I mean, if you're in a hurry for this plant to get nice and big, then I definitely would recommend sticking the aerial roots back in. But if this plant is already a very fast grower, so I don't think it's necessary. Chopping off these aerial roots do not hurt the plant at all. So feel free to do that if you have this plant. Okay, so I'm just going to remove all these little dead sheaths. I believe they're called sheaths. When a new leaf unfurls, the part that it unfurls out of. So my mom is going to be back any second now. She's rinsing out our existing bowl or vase, and here's another vase that I can put the newer plant in. It's a little bit smaller, but whichever is the smallest of the bunch, that's what we're going to put in here. So I'm just going to keep that to the side. That way I won't break it. And how's the video going so far? Like what you see? If you do, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button down below, and you can consider subscribing. It's free and it'll help you to find my videos easily in the future. Let's keep going. So I think the baby one, these two, the baby one and this big one here, I think they should stay together, and this one should be separated. So thank you. So let's try to, whoa, we lost 2 leaves so far, but they were on their way out anyways. Ouch, something sharp in here. Okay, all right. So these aerial roots, like, they become super intertwined. Oh, it's really intertwined with each other. Let's try to start to separate the plants. Would you mind using your ear? So that way, as we're not accidentally popping leaves. Okay. And keep these 2 belong to you. Yep. All right, wonderful. Right, gently. All right, now who do you belong to? Look at the size of this aerial root. Okay, this belongs to this guy. All right, so he could do without it. And here, this aerial root belongs to this one. Wow, and it's all the way over on this side. Oof, we may have to rip. Ah, perfect. Wow, that was really hard. All right, let's give a close-up of what we're working with. So this is what it looks like. To research the official names, but this is what the root of the plant, the main root, and the aerial roots, when you stick them back in, they create, we have a little rot here. So it seems like my water ran out of oxygen. So we have a little rot. So even if, again, you're growing in water, you still have to keep your water fresh. So the aerial roots, when you stick them in, they create secondary roots. So this is one plant. Wow, look at that. So this is one plant here, and you have the other plant. Let's swap. You want to take that one to the side. And this is our second, this is the second and third plant together. So the third plant is a little bit of a baby. It's still in its juvenile form, because when it's in its juvenile form, the lobes are a lot smaller, right? Versus when it's really mature, you see how you get those really nice big lobes, these deep lobes. So this one is still a little bit of a baby. So yeah, so these 2 could stay together. But that one, even if that one is by itself, that one looks like it has a bigger root system, doesn't it? A much bigger root system. It could just be because we allowed we chopped off more on the 2 than on the 1. But what do you think? I think it might be better to put the 2 in the bigger pot, because eventually their root systems are going to get established and sort of outgrow any smaller pot. So, all right. So that's this. So thank you. So we're just going to pop this back in here. And I put fertilized water in this, looking for, there we go. Yeah, that could come out. Looking for anything unalive. Just taking off these random bits. Good idea. But the roots look really good. No rotting or anything. White, fresh, healthy water roots. So I'm going to pop this back in here. And now it has significantly more space. Significantly more space to grow into. Wow. Oh, it's even tipping a little bit. Ooh. All right, how do we get you to be a bit more established in here? I may have to, oh no, I'm thinking of bending it sort of to get it to lie down a little bit in there, but yeah. Maybe even rocks. Maybe even rocks would help to hold it down, but that's okay. I'm not gonna put in any rocks, but it's so tippy. It's quite tippy, see? Ooh, maybe we may have to put the big one in the skinnier pot, it seems. Because the double, just because it needs, I think it needs just a little bit more support, because I don't want any tipping, any accidental tipping happening here. This plant needs a lot of light. A lot of light. It lives in a south-facing window, and look at just how long these petioles are, even in a south-facing window. So anything less than that, even in the new space I'm putting it in, I'm risking making these petioles even longer. The only way to get shorter petioles on this is to put it outside. I think that's the only way. It behaves very much like the Philodendron Solum. They remind me of each other. All right, so this looks a lot better in here. And I think this looks good. Hopefully in time it'll fill itself out nicely. I wish I could have just put all 3 of them in one big pot just to keep it nice and full, but eventually the roots, it's such a rooty plant. It pushes out so many roots that it would just outgrow itself once again. So that's number 1. Let's see, how are we looking? How are we looking? We're looking not bad. We're looking decent. I think I need to move our camera just a little bit higher. So that's number 1. We'll put it down on the ground. Do not fall over. Please. And man, I'm a mess. And then number 2 is going to be this one. This one had a bigger root system anyways, so we'll see. And that's our number 2 here. Nice and big. You're gonna pop it in here. Nope, I'm not putting this aerial root in here because it's going to just go crazy. All right. These plants, I'm beginning to see them a little bit more in nurseries. I'm actually seeing the Tahiti more, a plant that looks very similar to this one but has shorter petioles. I actually prefer the Tahiti because it has those shorter petioles, but the Tahiti actually looks a little bit more like the Solum because of that. How does this one look? A lot thinner, right? Definitely not as full as the first one, but that is this. It looks nice. It looks nice. So now I just need to fill it up with some fertilized water, and then we'll put them back in their homes where they belong. And I'm going to put it down on the floor for safety. Okay, so I've got my water. This is my fertilized water. Just tap water with my usual plant nutrients in it. I use just a generic Miracle Grow fertilizer, and we're just gonna top it up. You could go ahead and pour it in. Make it nice and full. Can you imagine? Look at how much water. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Look at how much water this takes. This is a 4-liter bottle, and in less than a week, with the 2 plants in here, this would be all the way down to almost nothing in less than a week. So that's really how I knew that I really needed to repot this. Well, repot. I'm just going to put this one back in here because it has some good roots on there. So that's this one. I'm trying to figure out now where I want to put this one, but definitely the fuller one is going to go back into the spot over there. And then we can put this here for now, at least for the sake of this part of the video. This is where I put it for now. Maybe we could twist it a little bit, and that way the arms or the shelves, I should say, will give it a little bit of support. But if I had an extra grow light, which I'm going to see if I can source one, an extra grow light would be perfect to put on top of here. This plant, and I put it up here, and then I could put a grow light on this medium shelf here, on this shelf. That way this could get some light, and hopefully, just maybe, we would get some shorter petioles. I don't think it'll work, but I would try it. It's worth a try. But at least it's filling up this space down here nicely. I mean, it's not perfect. And my mom was saying something that's true. This spot gets west facing light in the evening. So there's a window right there. And then in the evening, for maybe around an hour, it gets direct light, which this plant, mine, is already accustomed to, because it used to get direct sunlight in a south facing window. So again, this plant just went through a lot of shock. It was in a south window, and now I pulled it all the way back from the south window. I've chopped up half of its root system and put it in a different spot. So I need to give this plant a lot of love, some really good care, in order for it to maintain its good growth. And sometimes the complaints can be quite unsightly. So it's a good idea to sort of get ahead of things and try to give it as much light as possible. So I'm going to see if I could spare one of my grow lights from somewhere else, or if someone that I know, I just get a smile, that means no. Or I'll just have to order one very quickly. Yeah, but yes, I do like the way this one turned out. It looks nice. And what I'm going to do is take the bare side. There's a side here without a lot of leaves, and I'm going to put it to the back. And then it's not as full as it once was. Didn't it look so much better? It did look a lot nicer when it was full. But yes, I do know that it needs water. I didn't forget. But it's so much easier because this is a tighter spot. It's easier to fill it up afterwards. But yes, I like it. I do think that it won't get enough light in this spot as well. I do wish I had maybe one of these hanging lights that could sort of hang from the ceiling and come down. But stay tuned, because like I mentioned, I've done a very big change again to my growing space, and my plants are in brand new spaces. I would say about 90%, 80 to 90% of my collection has been moved around. So I think 90%, and it's in a new space. So stay tuned, that's coming soon, and you're gonna get to see just what I did and how I did it at an amazing price. So stay tuned. But yes, that's this one, that's its new spot. And let's get some water for it. I'm just gonna tweak this just a little bit. And I'm not worried. I do think it's going to grow in nice and full, but it's just that it's just going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to push out a lot of leaves really soon. It appreciates the extra space. All right, there we go. And it is in. So this is what it looks like now. I know that it was way fuller and way more beautiful before, but I have a lot of faith in this plant and its ability to bounce back, because when I chopped off quite a few of its leaves a few months ago, it grew back and bounced back to the plant that you saw a few minutes ago. And if you follow me maybe on Instagram or on if you follow my community tab, you would have seen when I did that huge chop. So no worries, it'll be fine. I know it'll come back. I just need to give it lots of light. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, you may like some of these other videos on my channel, and you can subscribe by clicking right here. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.
I'd also like to give a special thanks to our Patreon members, Rachel in the Diamond Falls tier and Lainey in the Pigeon Island tier.